Program, B.S. English. Course, 19th Century English Novel. Topic, Theme of Marriage in Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice. Prepared by, Dr. Shahryar Khan. Question. In Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice, marriage is linked with social class and social mobility. Discuss. Introduction. In her fiction, Jane Austen draws the picture of a society in which marriage is not just a romantic fulfillment for women but also a necessary economic investment. In the late 18th and early 19th century England, women did not have many options to achieve social and economic security. In a patriarchal system, social, political and economic aspects of life are controlled by men. A woman does not have agency or active role in the decision-making of any kind. Sandra Gilbert and Susan Gubar comment. For Austen's women, marriage is a survival tactic. The commodity being traded is the woman herself. Mrs. Bennet's frantic matchmaking is the logical response to a patriarchal system that threatens her daughters with homelessness through the laws of inheritance and entail. Looking at it from this angle, it is evident that Pride and Prejudice should not be read just as a romantic fantasy with a happy ending. Though the protagonist gets the marriage of her dreams, there are many other characters who have to succumb to social realities. An analysis of different marriages in the novel would help us understand the nature of these realities. Point 1. At the very beginning of the novel, the narrator describes Mrs. Bennet in these words: the business of her life was to get her daughters married. We see that throughout the narrative, she is fixated on this problem. Mrs. Bennet is a woman of mean understanding, little information, and uncertain temper, but she knows how important marriage is for the future of her daughters. If we consider the economic and social status of women in the 18th century England, then her concern is justified. Bennet family belongs to landed gentry. Though they are not very rich, they have a certain position in the society. Their estate is entailed. According to the law of entailment, a male heir could inherit the estate but cannot sell it. He could only use it as a tenant. The Bennet family does not have a male heir. This means that their 5 daughters cannot inherit estate after the death of their father. It would go to their closest male relative, Mr. Collins. The women in general, and of landed gentry in particular, did not have any economic prospects. Their only option was to inherit the property or marry it. In this context, Mrs. Bennet's obsession is not without its logic. It seems ridiculous because she does not consider any other factor while settling the marriages of her daughters. Appropriateness, compatibility, or mutual affection were not her concerns. She is interested in marrying her daughters well. The word well, according to her, has financial connotation. In the given socio-economic scenario, she is right up to some extent. Point 2. Like Mrs. Bennet, Mr. Collins also approaches marriage as a business. He visits Longbourn with the purpose of selecting a wife from the Bennet sisters. He too is not interested in compatibility or affection. He wants to marry because his benefactor Lady Catherine de Bourgh has asked him to. She has told him that he should marry from landed gentry. He thinks that it would be a good idea to choose his wife from one of the Bennet sisters as, eventually, he is going to inherit their estate and it would be a favor to them. He discusses all these details in his proposal to Elizabeth. He expects that his proposal would be received with gratitude. He tells Elizabeth, "The fact is, that being, as I am to inherit this estate after the death of your honored father, I could not satisfy myself without resolving to choose a wife from among his daughters, that the loss to them might be as little as possible, when the melancholy event takes place." This comment shows what kind of man Mr. Collins is. But Mrs. Bennet does not care. She takes it as an opportunity to save her home and estate. On the other hand, Elizabeth has a completely different approach towards marriage. Her idea of marriage is not based upon mutual benefit. Point 3. To be left without any economic prospect or without marriage was the worst fear of the women of that time. This fear drives Charlotte to accept the proposal of Mr. Collins after he was rejected by Elizabeth. Charlotte Lucas is the eldest daughter of Sir William Lucas and a very good friend of Elizabeth. When the novel opens, she is 27 years of age, well past the age by which she had hoped to get married. Charlotte is very pragmatic and she serves as a foil to idealist and romantic Elizabeth. She accepts the proposal of Mr. Collins because he could provide her home and security. Moreover, he would inherit the estate of Longbourn after the death of Mr. Bennet. When Elizabeth comes to know of their engagement, she is shocked. Engaged to Mr. Collins. My dear Charlotte, impossible. As the novel is narrated through the point of view of Elizabeth, the readers also share her opinion. If we look at the matter from a neutral perspective, we have to admit that Charlotte has made a right decision. She is getting older. If she had any romantic dreams about marriage, they had ended. Her decision is not ideal but, given her situation, it is very practical. Mary Poovey remarks. Charlotte Lucas's marriage is not a failure of character, but a success of social adaptation. By choosing Mr. Collins, she accepts the only profession available to her. Her choice exposes the grim reality that for most women, marriage was a matter of physical survival rather than emotional fulfillment. Point 4. In Pride and Prejudice, the only ideal marriage is between Elizabeth and Darcy. Their fairy tale romance grows with time and proves reliable in crisis. Initially, a remark by Darcy creates a rift between the two when at a ball, he remarks, "She is tolerable, but not handsome enough to tempt me." Elizabeth overhears this and harbors a strong prejudice against him. The premise of the novel is that despite the differences in their social class and family, both are compatible. During the course of the narrative, both go through a transformation and learn to understand each other. Darcy comes to know about Elizabeth's qualities and Elizabeth learns about Darcy's moral superiority. On the other hand, this fact cannot be ignored that Elizabeth's change of mind about Darcy is caused by two incidents and both involve worldly position and economy. First is the episode when Darcy provides financial help to Bennet family to arrange the marriage between Lydia and Wickham. Secondly, when Elizabeth visits Pemberley and is deeply impressed by its grandeur. This indicates that the marriage between Darcy and Elizabeth is not totally idealistic. It also involves material considerations. Ian Watt has highlighted this fact in these words. For them, marriage is not only a romantic fulfillment but also a necessary economic move. In the marriage of Elizabeth and Darcy, we see the rare and perfect achievement of the pocket and the heart, a union where emotional respect and economic stability are perfectly aligned. Conclusion. To conclude, we can say that in the 18th century England, marriage is not simply a union of two individuals. It also involves class mobility and financial prospects. Particularly, for the women of landed gentry, it was a matter of social and economic security. If we read it as a fantasy romance, we miss many practical and pressing issues. A realistic reading of the novel would take into account the economic realities faced by women of that time. We may laugh at Mrs. Bennet but we must admit that she is right. We can enjoy Mr. Bennet but we should also criticize him for being irresponsible. Charlotte Lucas seems to be an opportunist and worldly minded, but she has made the right choice. In an indirect way, the novel gives this message that happy endings like Elizabeth and Darcy are rare. Robert Hume has summed it up in these words. Pride and Prejudice gives us a grim reminder of the vulnerability of women who could not support themselves in any reliably lucrative profession and could only pray that they would strike it lucky on the marriage market.